I'd like to show you a couple of plum trees in my garden that have been very stressed in going through a healing process. Using these plums as an example, I'd like to make some connections for you about ways that you might begin thinking about your own transitional process and nourishing yourself. These two plum trees had been in large pots for about 7 years, until I could finally find a place for them to be planted in my small garden. Because they were restricted in their root growth, they also had problems with their budding, leaf growth, and lack of fruiting. This is a great example of when we are stressed and constricted in our internal and or external environment, and it feels like we can't breathe and need more space. We cannot be as creative, as vibrant, or as energetic. I knew this spring was a time to create a space for these two plums. Usually in our own lives, we have to let go of something or someone or an aspect of ourselves to create space for this new growth to come forth. The 80-year-old mulberry tree that died last summer in my garden created the space for my plums. Any new growth requires support, strong nourishment, and time and space. As these plums were transplanted from their restricted pots, we had to cut the taproot, the center root that went through the hole in the pot, which almost killed the plums. To support them through this healing process, I created a new space, the large hole, which was then enriched with very rich, fertile compost and then mulched heavily with goat manure to keep moisture in and weeds out. Initially, one of the plums oozed out all of its sap, lost all of its leaves. But within these last 2 months, it has now regenerated many new, strong green shoots. Transplanting for the plum tree is akin to transition and transformation in our own lives. During this time, we need more space, protection from too much external stimulation. I kept the plants watered and fed weekly with goat whey for my cheese making. For us, this means stronger nourishment. To support the regenerative process and to create new cellular growth, we need cleaner foods that sustain and nourish the new directions or the shoots in our lives. I also planted scallions near the plums, since they will not compete for water and nourishment, but will protect by keeping the bugs away. What I love in the mystery of the healing and transformational process is how we receive support from sources we may not have conceived of. In this situation, the amaranth, this wonderful red plant, and the fingerling potatoes volunteered from last year's compost that was used. The plums now need time for them to come into the balance within themselves before they're able to fruit. This means that they may not be able to bear fruit next year. But if I continue to be vigilant in providing the right nourishment, both these trees will bear fruit when they are ready.